So I want to talk about this because I've never really been the person to talk about politics, but I mentioned this before in one of my stories on Instagram, which is that I've never voted in my life, right? And I'm 24, so I skipped out on the past election. And the reason has been because I've always felt like my vote never mattered, because I felt like we were in a corrupt government. We were lied to. We've been lied to. We've been lied to by the media. We've been lied to by the schools. We've been lied to by the government, or at least it's been a partial truth. And a partial truth is not the truth, right? It's not. If you cannot speak fully in truth, then it's not truth. It's a lie. At least that's the way I see it. And there's a lack of transparency. I grew up and I've noticed this, and in my spiritual awakening, I also realized this, that we are being conditioned by society to be a specific way, to think a specific way, and it's all been in the interest of power and money, right? And I hardly talk about this because now I've been more focused on growing my business, fulfilling my purpose, because I know that that's the way that I can change the world, and I understand my power, and so I don't feel like I'm a victim anymore. I feel like, if anything, nobody can come in and mess with me because I am not doing anything wrong. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm here to help and be a servant to the world. So, so recently I realized that I want to take on more responsibility. I used to be more about just myself. I wanted to just be, just it's about my business and it's about my family and that's it. It's been more about me, and so I would push a lot of things away, like politics, for example, being one of them. Like, why does it matter? I don't have time for that. It's too much of a mess, you know. Or even simple things like picking up the phone when somebody called me, like, being able to, even though that's funny, but I would often ignore the calls because I was afraid that it'd be like a debt collection because I owed debt on my credit cards. So as I stepped up and as I started to own up to my responsibility, um, own up to my responsibility, I realized that I need to do this often. I need to be taking responsibility for my life. I need to be seeing how much more responsibility I owe to the world, because I realize that I owe responsibility to my immediate environment, right? Whether that be my wife, whether it be my family, whether that be my friends, whether that be my work environment. But as time passes, when I am participating in an ecosystem that stretches farther than those few levels of interaction, my life, I'm interconnected, and so I'm connected with the universe, I'm connected with the world, I'm connected with my nation, and so I have a responsibility to each one of those things. And I believe that fulfilling my purpose is my responsibility to the universe, but fulfilling my purpose onto the world, then things can be brought up, because then, what if my purpose doesn't specifically fulfill, for example, like climate change, for example. I don't know whether it's real or not. I just know that that's an issue, and it's being discussed. And there's other issues, right, that I choose to not engage in because that really doesn't align with my purpose. But at the same time, I still have that desire that I want to be able to help everybody. And I truly believe that what I'm doing here will help everything, will help change everything. I believe that as I step higher and higher into my purpose, I can inspire others to step into their purpose, and they'll be able to follow their path, and those paths can be the ones that I don't pay too much attention to, and these people can be much more well suited, well equipped for that specific path, for solving that specific problem. And so the main problem I'm solving is that of unconsciousness, of helping people awaken to their potential, realizing who they are. And so that's been where I've been. And then recently, within the past month, I've experienced a change where I want to, I'm answering these polls that people are calling me on. I don't have to do all of them, obviously, but I'm more receptive to it. I'm asking myself questions about politics, and I'm really thinking, like, do I really just want to skip out on the vote this year again? because I know that there's Biden and then there's Trump, and I don't like either one of them. I truly don't trust either one of them, and I truly don't think that their interest is best in my interest. I think that their interest is best in their own interest in enhancing their specific goals, not the goals of the nation, but of themselves. That's how I feel, and I'm a person that's very tuned into truth. You know, like if I can be truthful to myself, then I can tell when somebody's being truthful onto me, and I just don't feel it with these two guys, right? And then a lot of things have been going on, and I've heard things about RFK, and I've first heard about the Kennedy family during during COVID. They were giving a lot of information on like what the issue was going on, like the issues going on in the background, and I was diving deep into this, like researching this, like these conspiracies. Obviously, we're in the place where now we're realizing that the vaccines weren't really the best decision, that there were other interests involved other than just people's safety. There was money, you know. It's always about the money, the pharmaceutical industry, etc., which I don't trust either. Just from my understanding of spirituality, I believe that the pharmaceutical industry doesn't treat mental illness the way it needs to. I think it's intentional, or it's just they just lack the information, and they don't seek out the information. I feel like I think the universities make it very hard for you to be able to research topics around spirituality. I think it's this whole thing that I've gone through, right? But anyways, like the thing is that I'm saying is like I've never voted in my life, and I've never really thought myself to be somebody interested in politics. And the thing is, because politics has always been a thing of like a game, you know, how to lie, how to win people over, how to play face, you know, how to play this character that people love and adore, etc. It's always been that, and like everybody around me has always said, "Oh yeah, politics, you know, it's politics." Sort of like when people say, "Yeah, it's just business," and that shit just pisses me off, because then I'm like, what does that mean? You know, why do you say it's politics when you don't even know what that means? Like, what does that mean to you? What do you think about politics? Do you see politics in the same way that everybody else does? What is the true reason behind politics? What was the intention of the people who created politics in this world? Because I'm sure it wasn't just to make it about money and power. I'm sure they came here as like humble individuals wanting to create something better for their lives. They had to leave Europe because they didn't like Europe, so they wanted to come here and create something better. Obviously nobody's perfect, you know, as history can tell, but that was the intention, right? Create a better life for themselves. And yet politics now has been a thing about how can I win the vote and how can I get more followers. Basically, is very similar to the social media landscape and business landscape that's going on, that I feel like is slowly fading out. But like I said, I've always thought that that's what politics was, and so I never wanted to do anything with it, and I never felt able to even get into those things, because that requires more energy of me. That requires more time and effort on my part to learn and investigate, see what's going on, and in the past I didn't want to deal with it, but now I feel capable. I feel like it's my responsibility, and I feel like I want to step into this world and be that person that can be better. You know, I want to be more helpful. I want to be a servant, not just in my business, but to my nation, right? And the beautiful thing is that this isn't really so much like, this is a realization of myself, where I'm a spiritual person, and I used to be like, well, I'm not my family, I'm not my job, this is usually the first awakening, right? I'm not my family, I'm not my job, I'm not an American, I'm not just a human. Like, the identities that we have, they dissolve through ego death, right? Or through like psychedelic trips, that's what happened, or just a spiritual awakening. We start realizing that those things aren't us. But I believe that as you start evolving, you start growing, you can gain responsibility where, yes, they aren't us, and I'm not chained to these labels, but I can use these labels to serve my fellow men, my brothers, right? And that's the thing here that's really hitting me, because I'm like, okay, like there's more for me to help people with, right? There's more for me to contribute to this world with than just it being about spirituality, right? I realized that I can contribute to my coworkers by being by being there, by being present, by being a good worker, by having a positive attitude, etc. And even though I don't like a full-time job, I don't want to be in a full-time job. I want to be working my business and just being on my time, etc. even though I don't like it, I still find ways to serve my fellow men, right? To achieve my deeper purpose, which is to serve people, to help people, to yeah, to present a new image onto the world. And so then this is the next step, right? The next step is now politics, which is calling me, which is saying to me, you aren't, yes, you are not just an American, but you do live in this country, and that is an identity that you have taken on in this life. And so through that, you have to understand that yes, don't make it restrain you, right? Don't limit yourself to just being an American, because you can love people who are outside of America. You can connect with people outside of America because you have that, you can release that identity. But when you are an American, you have a responsibility onto your nation to speak your mind, to let people know what you think, to to bring up these topics, because at the end of the day, if you don't, and if you're not afraid to, like, if you don't, no connection can happen, right? And I bring things onto the world, and I'm not afraid to get challenged, and that's the biggest trait for me, which is the gift of authenticity, which is I'm gonna speak on the camera, and I'm gonna do it the way I want to. And if people resonate with it, they're gonna reply. Some people are not gonna like it, and so then they're gonna give me their thoughts, and then that opens the opportunity for discourse. But people aren't used to that. They're so afraid to get challenged, and that's because maybe they don't have that, they're not that committed onto themselves, right? But me, I'm committed to myself. I'm committed to my truth, and I want to speak it, and I want to realize that. I want to let that shit happen, and have people come here and tell me what's going on and what do they think. And because once that happens, I understand that the conflict, harmonization through conflict, that's the key. Harmonization through conflict. We go through conflicts in our lives. We go through critical periods in our lives that are difficult, that and these difficult times are really the ones where we grow the most, because we're able to integrate contradicting perspectives, or perspectives that in the beginning seem at odds with each other, but through engagement and interaction with each other, you can get to a place where, okay, I understand you now, and you know what, I kind of see where your perspective, I understand where you're coming from, and here's how we can build together, right? So people hardly have that ability, right? And so me now understanding what it means to speak your truth and to be a politician, be somebody that wants to serve the world. To me now, like, it used to be, a politician was somebody that won by presenting a specific character, kind of just like sold an image, and did their way to move up. Now to me, a politician is somebody who is a servant to the nation, who is willing to take on the various problems that are going on in the world. And that also means not having to that also means not playing this game that the other politicians play. It's playing the game of truth, being truthful to yourself, expressing your truth regardless. And I think that I even consider, I used to be like, I don't ever want to be president, and I'm like, well, if I feel called to do it, then I'll do it. If I feel like I can fulfill that, then I'll do it, and I think that's a beautiful thing, because to come to that place, and I'm like, shit, well, I'll imagine being able to bring nations together. Imagine me being able to bring these attributes of compassion, of love, these spiritual understandings of connection, bring that to the nations, and be able to connect with other nations. Imagine that, right? That's beautiful. That's an image that I see, and I'm like, wow, like, I can do that. I believe I can do it, and I want to keep building myself to the point where I can do that. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a huge change in my life. Like, when would I have ever thought that this would happen? I just thought, I'm just gonna get my shit done. I'm gonna build my business. I'm gonna build my empire, and if whoever wants to join will join. But here I am thinking that, wow, like, I'm willing to put myself in a situation where I'm exposed to everybody of all walks and thoughts of life, and be willing to put myself there for us to have conversations, engagement, interactions, creations together. I'm willing to do that. And here I am, and it's like I'm speaking to the universe. This is really my message to the universe, saying I'm ready to take on more. It's not about my finances. It's not about just me anymore. It's about something bigger. I understand that. I feel called to really access a a higher version of myself that is willing to take on these challenges. And now that gives me even more drive to continue to pursue what I'm pursuing. I've been working for like every day, all day. And I know that these things are building me. That this work is building me. It's creating a new character. It's developing a new person within me. And so that adds more meaning. The more I do this, the more capable I become, the more competent I become, and the more willing I become to keep serving the purpose at a higher level. But anyways, this video began also because I'm gonna be voting this year. I'm finally gonna vote, and I know who I'm gonna be voting for. I'm gonna be voting for RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy, the nephew of John F. Kennedy, the guy who got assassinated, who I believe got assassinated by his own people. And RFK is that politician. He's an actual person that when you see him talk, he's just speaking his truth, and he's willing to put himself in places where they don't agree with him. He's not afraid of that. He's not afraid of discourse. He's not afraid of discussion. He's not afraid to put himself out there. And I'm gonna vote for him. And I've been watching a lot of his podcasts with Ari Marcus, with Russell Brand, with Joe Rogan. He's talking to everybody, bro. And I'm just like, let's do it. Like, he's actually speaking to the people. He's speaking to the right people, I feel like. He's playing everything. He's not just playing the politician game of trying to go into the freaking news and win people over like that. No, he's talking to everybody, all walks of life. And he's willing to work with them. So I think he's he's definitely the man I'm gonna vote for. But the fact that he's out here doing this, it gives me an image for myself of like what kind of man I can become, and what kind of man, what a good politician looks like, right? And that's really opening my eyes. So I also thank him for that. I really appreciate that, because it's much needed in this world where mainstream media is censoring people, and where politicians are corrupt, or the government's corrupt, and we need to get somebody that can go in and really move people together, really unite people. At the end of the day, that's what can happen. That's what will happen if he can continue to just speak his truth. Because truth unites. Truth is love. Truth comes from love, and truth brings people together. So yeah, so that's really the end of the video. Yeah. So thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. You already know. Stay lucid. Peace.